Well, thanks everyone for coming out and being here in beautiful Long Beach. If you arrived yesterday morning, there was torrential rain in Los Angeles, and something we weren't used to. In fact, we all got our cell phones out and started taking pictures of the rain, and we were filming it and video. I woke up the kids, hey, it's raining out there, right? I'm not exaggerating, that's really what we did yesterday. You missed out. It was actually quite nice, but now it's super clear and beautiful and worth the trip for everyone that made it from wherever you came from, whether it was the East Coast or the Midwest or the Northwest or wherever it is. We're glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, and we're looking forward to having a really good day of content and good information. So, we'll kick things off here. I don't have a lot to say, but I do want to talk a little bit about sort of how we collaborate as people, as a company, as a team, and as an organization, and how some things that we've noticed whenever we operate and work with customers, prospects, and even when we work internally. The title of my presentation this morning is Collaborating in a Post-Neolithic World. And we'll kick off with a little history lesson. Oh, there's a picture of me. I had longer hair there. Comes and goes. So, the Neolithic period, as we all know it, began 10,200 BC, goes through about 8,800 BC. It was during this time that we developed the concepts and the technology of farming and domestication of animals. We were still using tools like you see above on the particular screen, and we were literally using these stones as tools. This period of time is oftentimes celebrated as the Neolithic Revolution and as a great leap forward for man, and as a necessary precursor to the Copper, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age as well. It was during this period that these sort of tools were particularly used for very specific utilitarian jobs. They were polished rocks, they were sharpened stones. That really defined their whole life, their whole work, and defined who they were as a people, as an evolutionary species, let's say, to the point that it was called the Stone Age. Well, my fellow collaborators, I'm here to say that many of us, and I say us, are still collaborating as if we're in the Stone Age. These sort of tools are Neolithic, literally, and I think we need to take another look at how we use tools, how we view them in our internal lives, how we use them as software applications as well. So let's fast forward 10,000 years to Harvard, where this was sort of another great leap for man, also known as the Internet Revolution. So the year here is 1995, right around when the Internet was first being opened up to the general public. And I want to read something that a Harvard professor wrote in 1995. So bear with me, just a little bit. First, let us postulate that computer scientists succeed in developing intelligent machines that can do all things better than human beings can do. Okay? In that case, presumably all work will be done by vast, highly organized machines, and no human effort will be necessary. As society and the problems that face it become more and more complex, and machines become more and more intelligent, people will let machines make more of their decisions for them, simply because machine-made decisions will bring better results than man-made ones. Eventually, a stage may be reached at which the decisions necessary to keep the systems running will be so complex that human beings will be incapable of making them intelligently. At that stage, the machines will be in effective control. People won't be able to just turn the machines off because they will be so dependent on them that turning them off would amount to suicide. Anyone kind of feel like we're at that point yet? Maybe, maybe not. We've become very dependent on our machines and on our tools. Turning them off would amount to suicide in some cases. Maybe that's a bit extreme. I know when I take the iPads away from my kids on the weekend or for the day, it's the end of the world for them, for sure. Anyone know who wrote what I just said, that little excerpt that I just stated about machines? Harvard graduate. He graduated from Harvard, or went to Harvard at 16. PhD in mathematics from the University of Michigan. He became a Berkeley professor at age 25, the earliest, the youngest professor at Berkeley at any given time. Theodore Kaczynski, Unabomber. So I'm not espousing the views nor justifying the murderous actions of Kaczynski in any way. But I don't agree with his dystopian view of the future or anything like that. But clearly, his view of tools and machines, he wanted to bring us back into the Stone Age, into a Neolithic time of how before technology. He had a great fear of technology. So I read this excerpt just to kind of get you to think a little bit differently about how we view technology, how we view tools in general, and software tools, Central Desktop maybe, in specific. Right? As a creator of software tools, I want to challenge each of you to rethink how you look at and evaluate the tools that you use, including Central Desktop, including other applications and tools that you use on a daily basis in your own business, in your own life. I submit that even though we're in the advanced tech world today that we live in, that we're still stuck in the Stone Age, that we always end up focusing too much on the tools, and that we forget about what we're really trying to accomplish. So I'll ask the question, why are you here today? Right? Why did you make the trek to Collabosphere here in beautiful Long Beach, Southern California? Think about that for a little bit. Sure, it was to look at the tools. I mean, absolutely. But maybe, some of you came out to learn more about our complex workflows. How can I manage this platform a little bit better? I want to learn more specifically about the roadmap, about what's coming out in our product. And that's okay. We have plenty of content that's going to serve that purpose today. We're glad you're here for that purpose. We're going to serve that for you today. Some of you said, well, we want to come out because we want to learn how to work smarter. We want to be more efficient. We want to do more with less, to be a little buzzwordy. And we want to support that as well. I mean, our internal mission here in the company is helping people work together in ways they never thought possible, right? We want to help you unlock new ways of how you work as a team, as a company, as an organization, maybe as a leader. That's what we strive to do. But right now, today, I really want to challenge you to think past the tool and to think past Central Desktop and to kind of remember why you really came here today, right? Is your purpose really to learn to use the tool better? I mean, when you say it that way, that even sounds kind of Neolithic. I want to learn to use this tool better, right? So we want to get past that and think through the real purpose, which is kind of obvious, but I think we forget about it. And that's, you're really here because you're trying to serve your customers better. You're trying to serve your employees better. You want to develop a better relationship with your suppliers, your clients, your vendors. You want to do more with less, but it's always about the people. And while Neolithic man focused on the tool and as tools as their means of survival, to live and to eat every day, your purpose is far more noble. It's far more transformative for your organization and for your team and what you want to accomplish. So let's look at that word a little bit more. Transformative. The definition specifically is to change in character or condition, to change in composition or structure. And it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with tools and machines, right? It's far more noble. It's post-Neolithic to think that way. It's post-Stone Age to try to transform your organization kind of from the inside out. It has something to do with tools, but not really. It has more to do with people and with the process and the things that you're actually trying to do. So don't lose sight of what you're really doing here. It's not about the tools. It's not about specifically how you're using Central Desktop. And if you want to focus too much on the tool, then you're really probably selling yourself short. Because what you're really trying to accomplish, you want to create more accountability internally within your organization. You want to focus on how to serve those customers better. You want to focus on getting better results. You want to focus on capturing knowledge as a team. And sure, the tool is going to help you work with your customers. The tools will help you be more accountable to your colleagues and to your customers and clients. And the tools are going to help you measure results. But again, think past the tool. I know I'm sounding repetitive, but it's a point that I'm really trying to get across. You've got to be able to think past the tool. So never forget that tools also introduce additional complexity, right? Oftentimes unnecessary complexity, which often leads to unintended consequences and ultimately a poor customer experience. So, for example, we've all been on the automated operator menus before, whether we're calling into a credit card agency or a cable company or whoever it is that you're trying to deal with. And I mean, rarely does this end up being a positive experience for the customer. We know this because cable companies have the lowest NPS, Net Promoter Scores, and customer service stats of any organization out there, maybe slightly lower or higher than the government. Usually the experience involves pushing every button on your phone, just trying to get to a human, right? You just like get past the agent. You're just trying to talk to somebody, press 00 to talk to a human. But it's a good example of when a company relies too much on doing on a machine to do a human's job, that it interferes with the customer experience. In their attempt to give a positive experience, to answer my question faster, the company actually put a machine in front of them, in front of their humans. And in reality, the company was just fulfilling their own desire to make their lives easier. It really wasn't about the customer. It was about their lives and about what they were trying to do. They over-focused on the tool. Stone Age thinking. And I think we'd all agree that many of the cable companies and the credit card companies are kind of in the Stone Age whenever we start using their technology. And I don't know about you, but every time I end up calling into one of these organizations, I end up speaking to a human. And they end up asking me the same questions and the same information that I punched into the, to the phone when we started the conversation. And usually it takes them 2 or 3 minutes to kind of apologize and say, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garcia, I'm here to help you now, right? And you kind of all breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm finally speaking to a human, and that's really what we want to be able to do. But it's a good example of machines kind of getting in the way, and the tool that got in the way. In this case, they got away with the process, and the machine, or the tool in this case, literally blocked me from solving my problem. And I think in our day-to-day lives, when we're implementing and looking at tools internally, we need to think about that, about are we setting up a process or a tool that's really replacing what a human can or should or needs to be doing instead? We see the need for common sense judgment in the deployment of our platform many, many times where someone says, I want to create a workflow that's going to notify Joe as soon as X and Y happens, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, where's Joe sit? Oh, he sits right here next to me. Right? He sits right next to me, but you want a workflow to notify that person right next to you when really there's a human connection that's being broken, and you're putting a machine between 2 people on a day-to-day basis. So I think we see this in our daily lives as well. When we look at our phones and we say, well, I'm a slave to the phone. It's the phone's problem that, I'm a slave to email and texting and Facebook and Instagram, right? We blame the tool as if it's the tool's problem. I think it's an internal, personal, people issue many times that we've put a machine in front of another person, between our friends, between our families, etc. I'm not a disadvocate of these things. I use them all myself on a daily basis. But I think it's about how we blame them and how we look at the tool the wrong way. And I want to refocus that we look at the human side of it as well. Again, don't focus on the tool. So one of the things that we've also seen many, many times is Central Desktop as a company, we participate in RFIs and RFPs on a regular basis. A company will put together a series of questions saying we're evaluating a collaboration platform or a project management platform, whatever it is, and we want you to answer these 465 questions. And fill out this spreadsheet very specifically. Everything's locked. You can only answer 1 question at a time. And we really look at these things in awe and in wonder, like, wow. A lot of time went into putting together this RFP. I mean, a lot of time. And I have a friend that her sole job, she works very large company, and then Oracle acquired this company. Their whole job is creating RFPs and RFIs and RFQs and all the other RFs for government agencies to buy software. And they create this huge process for it, and the company's worth billions of dollars. Rarely does a company put that amount of effort into training their employees or looking at the processes that they have internally to solve their problems. They spend exorbitant amount of times evaluating or creating a system to evaluate the tools, and then they kind of don't look at the real day-to-day practice and implementation of the tools that they're trying to potentially purchase and buy. And they forget about the people, they forget about the customer, and they forget about their users. And ultimately, if and when the product or the tool fails, then the cycle starts over again. Oh, that didn't work. We better create an RFI to find the right product, to find the right tool out there. And they kind of just forget about what they were really trying to do. In many ways, this vicious cycle is insanity. Meanwhile, the process is still broken in the company, or your people are quitting, or they're literally going insane because they're doing the same thing over and over again, trying to get a different result. Right? It's the same thing over and over again. So don't lose sight of what you're trying to do, whether that's today, tomorrow, with the tools that you're selecting. Don't focus on the tools as much. Focus on your purpose, your goal of what you're trying to do. Focus on the context of what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, the context, I think, is really important and sort of the bigger picture. I think we've all heard the current quote, famous quote, where there's no vision, the people perish. I mean, there's almost an apocalyptic tone to that. I'm not trying to make it sound that apocalyptic. But exerting the same energy on your people and your customers and your process as you do in selecting the tools and implementing the same tools that you've selected. I mean, have a vision for what you and your customers and your people, what you want to accomplish. Don't lose sight of that vision. So when you're going through the process of choosing and configuring a tool, any tool, it's equally important that you consider the team, the process, and your overall vision for the entire organization, and apply the same rigor to the entire organism, if you will. Not just to the tool, but to the entire organization and to the entire organism that you're trying to work with. Another sort of tenet to keep in mind as you go through the process today is thinking about, I mean, this is Latin. I know I'm not going to even try to speak it in Latin, but it's Occam's razor. There's many definitions and interpretations of what that means. One of them being plurality should not be posited without necessity. I think we all kind of know it more from the concept of the simplest, most obvious answer is probably the right answer. I mean, there's different ways of interpreting that Latin phrase. But I think Occam's razor is a good thing to keep in mind in implementation, in selecting tools in your day-to-day basis. Keeping it simple, keeping it front of mind on your day-to-day basis, on a weekly, monthly basis. We have a customer where they have a monthly meeting called Kill the Stupid Rule Meeting. And their goal is once a month they all meet, or the core team meets, and the purpose is to make sure that we are eliminating a stupid rule in our company this month. I was told by one of our implementation consultants about this, and I was like, we need to start doing that immediately. Right? We're not that big of a company, but we have plenty of stupid rules that we need to get rid of. And I would argue everyone does, and I would urge everyone to implement the Kill the Stupid Rule meeting. I think it's a really good one. It's not the tools that you have faith in. Tools are just tools. They work or they don't work. It's people you have faith in or not. I really like that quote because I think it really kind of sums it up. There's another part of it where Steve Jobs goes a little bit further and says, it's the pessimism of people. I'm actually really an optimist. He's trying to justify, I think rightfully so, that the purpose of the tool isn't the tool. It's not an end of itself. It's the people that you're actually relying on that you want to work with. So we focus or over-focus on tools and machines. I do not believe that our future will be Skynet. That's not really what I'm saying. Nor the Matrix, nor as dystopic as Ted Kaczynski says, nor as Orwellian as 1984. But I do believe that if we focus too much on the tools, then we are no better off than our Neolithic ancestors, and that we'll lose sight of our customers, that our vision will become blurred. And even though the year is 2014, many of us are still working in this Neolithic Stone Age. And I really urge everyone to think past the tools that you use on a daily basis. So today, as we kick off Collabosphere, I hope that you use this lens to refocus your thoughts, your actions, your ideas, I think specifically your vision, to move out of the Stone Age, beyond the Neolithic Age, and focus on your customers, your people, and not on the tool. You're at a software gathering to talk about the tool, and I'm telling you not to focus on the tool. And I really mean that, because the ultimate purpose of why you're here is not the tool. It's your customers, it's your employees, it's someone else that you're trying to serve. And ultimately, that's why we're here, is to create happy customers and to create the experiences that we really want to have endearing, close, intimate relationships with our customers and with our employees, and to be able to look back and say the tool was part of it. I hope we're part of it, excuse me. I hope we're part of it as a company. That's what we strive to do. But don't lose sight. Don't let your vision be blurred today as you go through the content of Collabosphere. So that's what I have to say today for our kickoff. I hope it's something you kind of take with you as you proceed throughout the rest of the day. And I look forward to your feedback, actually, and any personal experiences you have about tools being misplaced or misused, whether it's Central Desktop or not. I'd love to hear them. It's kind of something that I think about and talk about quite a bit amongst colleagues. And I think as we move forward as an industry, it's a topic that gets taken for granted many times. So thanks for listening to my rant. I appreciate it. So our